Shall we? I think we shall. Hello folks, 9 o'clock UK time, Sunday night. It can mean only one thing. It is time for the Sunday Nighter. How you all doing? I see the crowd is gathering as I speak. The chat box is filling up. It's been a good day. Yeah, obviously over here in the UK it's Remembrance Sunday. For all my US viewers and people who aren't from the UK, it's Armistice Day. It's the day we remember our fallen, our Poppy Day. Corbyn paraded at the Cenotaph with his army cadets this morning. He looked brilliant. Yeah, we sat up last night and I taught him how to do a proper, boot polish, to glass up his boots. And we sat for about 3 hours, both of us, just polishing his boots and getting ready. And he looked the dogs. Yeah, so good day overall. Crap week. Absolutely rubbish week studio wise. As you know, I'm on Spodeworks, yeah, which is it's like an old factory site that the council are redeveloping as like an enterprise area. And we were one of the first people to move into one of the first sort of buildings to be renovated, the artists, because I'm in this group of communal artists. And they're knocking down the building next to our building. And when I say next to our building, my room is on the wall next to the building they're knocking down, and it's attached to it. So my room for the past week has just been demolition noise. I tried going in late, didn't work. They're behind time, so they're working late. Is it the centennial today? Corb was. Yeah, Corb paraded at the Cenotaph. For those who don't know, the Cenotaph is what we call our war memorials. Right, I see an absolutely load of people. Oh, perhaps a bit tired, like Mel. I'm not tired. I'm actually alright today. I've done loads of DIY though. Right, I do need to switch the form on because this is a question and answer show. And I should have done that before the show. Silly little Mel. So let's just quickly delete the others, open the form, and we are good to go. So if you do have a question for me, yeah, and it's a terrain related question, if you go down into the description, you'll find a link to a Google Doc. All you need to do is head over to the Google Doc, enter your screen name and your question. You don't need to be logged in or anything like that. And then in about 10-15 minutes, we'll jump on those and we'll start to work through them. So if you've got any terrain related questions, get them down below into the description, over to the Google Doc, and we'll crack on. Hey, I'm Jace. I did see a message from you, Jace. I need to respond. I was running around before the show. Let me guess, Richter scale 9+ at the studio. There were times when, when I couldn't actually hear the demolition, but I was looking down at my water pot. You know that thing in Jurassic Park where you've got the dinosaur walking along, the first sign is like the water ripples. It was like a sea in my water tub, just constantly flowing, just loads of ripples. God knows what my cameras were like. If it had tried actually filming, they'd have been shaking all over the place. Right, I see all the old gang in tonight and a few new ones. Welcome aboard. Don't know if we'll see our cat tonight. She sent me a message and it was a picture of fires behind her house. So I've sent her goodwills and just said, look, stay safe. It appears that California is on fire again. Feel sorry for those. It's ridiculous. Napoleonic General, get your question down into the Google comments, mate. But there's a video on that in my Talk Terrain playlist. Just if you want a quick, sneaky, quick one. That is a nice brew. Now, Kerry is missing from the house at the moment, so I'm a little bit concerned. She should have been back by now. So if I keep checking my phone and that sort of stuff, don't worry, guys. Like I say, I'm just waiting to hear that, she's all safe and well. Yeah, wildfires. Yeah, I've said California's been getting hit by them quite a lot, hasn't it? Smoke is gathering around LA. What sort of... Los Angeles is going to be a city in California, I'm assuming. Sorry, guys, my actual US geography, beyond East Coast, West Coast, New York, and a few others, it's a bit vague. Probably like your British, what you call it, sort of knowledge. Cali's always on fire these days. 250,000 evacuees. Ah, Jason's doing his thing. Thank you, buddy. Well, for Kat's fault, she will insist on wearing bikinis and driving the guy's temperatures up. She'll hit you for that, Ant. She'll have you for that, mate. Dan's saying, Kez is out getting me a McFlurry. There's no way Kez would get you a McFlurry. She doesn't share her McFlurries with anyone, mate. So don't be pulling that one. It took over Malibu? Wow. So, terrain related. I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a Billy No, mate. I've got to say, terrain related stuff, it's been quite short on the ground. To be perfectly honest. Other than prep, if you know what I mean. I've just been, because I haven't been able to film, I can't even start projects. So all I've been doing is sort of getting all the pieces and everything I need to get together to sort of, right, as soon as they start knocking things down, yeah, which I'm reliably told they're finishing off on Monday and they should be finished by midday on Monday. Yeah, so I'm just like, they're not going to be finished by midday on Monday. They say this every time. I'm going in on Tuesday. But I've prepped everything, and fingers crossed I can delve back in and finish the very last bit of the the bleeding skull. LA is a huge city, a couple of million, right? Are you from London? Every American whilst I was on business there. Do you know John? I've had that one a few times from Americans. Hey Max, hey Mr. Mini. Apple pie? I don't get the reference. It's scrub brush and dry grass around the LA burns nicely. Yeah. We have a similar thing in the UK. We have gauze fires. Gauze is like a prickly bush. But it gets very dry in the summer. And it can light up. We had some horrendous fires. I mean, no way in comparison to what you guys over in the States are going through. But locally, we had horrendous fires when we had the really dry season at the Peak District and something called the Roaches, which is like a natural beauty spot quite close to where we live. And unfortunately, they were actually set on purpose by... my video ain't monetized, so I ain't going to worry. And if there's any parents with children, please cover your children's ears right now. But they were set by... I'm not even going to say it, but D-heads. You're from Wales? Is that a city in England? Siarad Cymraeg? Ydw, nac ydi? Heather fires. I imagine you would get heather fires up here in Scotland. You don't see much heather around here, to be truthful. Right, let's check on the state of the questions, shall we? As of yet, I've got 6 in. It's kicking off in the questions. UK tumbleweeds. Yeah, very much so, except they're rooted. Wales is one of the nations of the UK. There's lots of vids to choose from. I certainly do. I think I've got about 500 videos now. And we're still going strong, you know what I mean? Habla español? No, sorry. Mel, do you speak Welsh? I used to as a child. I can pick up odd phrases now. And to be truthful, I only really know childish swear terms now because they're the only ones that have really stuck. Basically, the way it works is if you live in Wales, then under the national curriculum, which is sort of the teaching guidelines for the UK, you have to learn Welsh as a language. And so when I moved to Wales when I was probably about 5 or 6, and I stayed there for about 5 years, for that short period in primary school, I learned Welsh. So I did learn Welsh when I was a kid, but it never really stuck because the thing is, you learn Welsh, but no one uses Welsh in Wales. Well, unless they think you're English and you're going into the Welsh shop and they think you're a tourist, and then they'll start speaking Welsh. Which in my younger days when I could remember Welsh was quite funny when you could remember Welsh. The Swedish Air Force kind of bombed out the forest fire over here last summer. Now that's a way of doing it. Fight fire with fire. Celts are saying Mel can speak more Welsh than I can. It is just phrases. Insults, mainly. Although I did find out that the Welsh alphabet, now how many is it? It has extra letters. I think it's got 5 extra letters than the normal alphabet. It's all the sounds, you know what I mean? Like, you know, amloch. And that's not the long one. The one, you know, I never even learned that one. Oh, very interesting. It's my first language. You got it easy then. I really struggled with it. Always used to love the way that, when you were learning Welsh, I always, you know, I was in primary school, so I was I was a bit giggly and a bit funny like kids are. I always used to find it funny that in the Welsh language, there's no word for motorway or caravan because they never existed when Welsh was created. So the Welsh just adopted the word caravan and motorway into the Welsh language, and I think that's brilliant. CHFFNGLL etc. What's the other one? PH, isn't it? Is it PH or PN? A lot of phlegm in them. A lot of phlegm. Welcome to the Terrain Tutor, where we talk about Flemish, not Flemish language as in the French and the Belgians and all that, the border region there. No, Flemish as in, trying to speak Welsh. Can you make a 5-letter word with those extra letters? I don't think you can make a 5-letter word. It was that one time where the covert ops tried to sneak biscuits upstairs. It's new to me. Right. I mean, we got 9 questions so far. Yeah, just the FF, the first sound. There you did. Always used to get those, learning those. Right. I have 9 questions. Shall we jump into them? That sound good for you guys? That thing, you're drinking tea, or is it this mug? This is a latte. No, Mel isn't being ultra posh. We bought like one of those instant latte mixes ages ago, and we've run out of coffee, and I'm waiting for Kez to bring proper coffee home. So right now I'm on the lattes. Right, if you've got any questions, get them down below into the description. You'll find a link to the Google Doc. Jump over there. We'll start the questions now. Yeah, okay, right. So let's go for these. Right. This is from Please Help Me. How do I get onto the chat? Help me, I can't find out. Dude, all you need to do is watch it on YouTube and look if on your YouTube page. There'll be a chat there, you'll be able to enter. If you can't do that, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I don't know what else you're supposed to do to get on the chat. That's the way I always get on. Right, let's move on and get some terrain questions. Celtic Knots. Where in the UK do you get your spray primer to undercoat and seal MDF buildings? Depends, Celt. Right, couple of spray primers. I like Halford's grey. It's a nice neutral grey. It's nice and cheap. Okay. I like Army Painter if I'm doing various buildings and stuff like that. A lot of the times, if I'm going to paint a building my own colour, then what I'll often do is I've moved away from actually priming it, and I've actually gone to matte coating it first and then putting the base colour on myself. The reason being is it seems that pound for pound you get far better mileage and undercoating out of a matte spray varnish than you do out of a primer. Now it could be because I'm putting my primer on way too heavy. No one's ever commented that I'm doing that. And perhaps I should experiment a bit with putting, because I know when you do miniatures, you're only supposed to give them a light dusting, not a solid coating. Now, I often use coloured primers, which means I want a solid colour, which has led to the tendency of me sort of putting on a full coat. And I'm starting to wonder now, off the back of this question, whether when I'm doing the neutral grey with the Alfords, whether I should just give it a dust coating, yeah, to just seal it, because that's all you want from a primer. You just want to seal it so the MDF stops soaking up the actual moisture out of the paint. But I have noticed I'm doing a lot more priming, yeah, and sealing, since your question mentioned sealing, with actual, spray matte varnish. Now for the spray varnish I'm using a car varnish. It's from a company called ProXL. I think their website's it's pro-xl.co.uk. Yeah. Now, if you follow that link, if I've got the dash in the wrong place, you're either going to get matte spray varnishes or a website offering pills to increase the size of a personal appendage. Good luck with that one, guys. I made a mistake when I was typing it in once. No, I didn't. But the matte varnish I use from them, it's really good. I've discovered that the thing I like about it the most is that Spode, the building itself, because it used to be a pottery site, it used to have kilns and a lot of fired goods in. Also a lot of people working in it. So the building was actually designed to let out heat. So now it hasn't got kilns in, it's constantly cold. Yeah, and there's constantly moisture in the air, especially around winter time. And any moisture in the air when you're doing any sort of sealing can cause frosting effects as the moisture gets trapped in the actual aerosol. I've got a vid coming out on Tuesday showing you how to get around that if you've got that problem, by the way, but I'm not going to explain that now. I did a vid on all the spray primer techniques off the back of the last chat. Yeah, so I've managed to do that. That's out on Tuesday, guys. But I have found out that... Oh, yeah, okay, right, go back. Talking about the website, I get it from ProXL. Yeah, it's a matte varnish, and because Spode is really cold, a lot of moisture, it doesn't seem to frost, which is a real bonus for me, because frosting can really throw things back. So, if you're looking for a good matte varnish, I do recommend ProXL matte varnish. It's about £10 for a can, yeah, but the can goes a long way, a long way. I mean, I've used one can for 4 different projects now. You know what I mean? And when I say projects, I've been using the same can that I used on the zombie board. That's the same can I used, yeah, to finish before I put the resin effects in on the skull piece. And in the meantime, it's done all my terrain pieces, and it's also done high peak pass and varnished that a few times. So... yeah, ProXL matte car spray lacquer varnish. Just so you know, I have no association with the company, never even spoke to them or dealt with them. Yeah, but I do highly recommend that. Right, that was a good one. Oh, that answers your questions. Tend to use primer as a base as well, especially the coloured match primers. I like Army Painter for the coloured match primers, because when you're spray priming buildings, you often get gribbly bits which overhang and you can't get a full coverage. Knowing I can either go in with a brush or with an airbrush with a colour match from Army Painter and fix those, it's a massive plus, guys, massive plus. Pat Butcher's having an extra coffee for me. Yeah, so that's about everything that everyone else. I use cheap spray cans from Poundland for undercoating. They're designed for car metalwork, but they're great for almost anything. How do you find the spray with those, mate? Yeah, I've used them in the past, and I find the actual spray and the actual laying down. I had some Plascoat stuff, and that was horrible. I didn't like that the way that went down on MDF at all. I'm assuming, to be truthful, Plascoat, I should have... I mean, it said it's for covering, for covering MDF, metal and everything, but it was horrible. And I got that from the pound shop. Montana Gold are an awesome rattle can company. I use another one. Yeah, there's another good UK one. I think they're called Flame. Yeah, and they've got some really good earth tone colours. They're artistic. They're graffiti artists. Yeah, I get them from a website called GIF Gaff. I think it is. GIF Gaff, yeah. and they're quite good, but they've got some really good browns and really good earth colours. I use them to do, they're in the video as well, so I'll show you those. Olympic paints make paint specifically for cold and wet weather. You can use it down to 35 degrees and it will cure with no issues. No idea if they're sold overseas. Olympic paints. Now there's one to check out for you guys in your cold and damp environments. Do you know what, Celts? Can I just say thank you for this question. We've had a good 5 minutes on it. Yeah, Leslie's saying primers, Halfords, any colour is the best and at a good price. Yeah, most definitely. I like the interesting thing I found out. Yeah, and then I found this out from a photographer. Yeah, Halford's grey is a neutral grey. Yeah, and what we mean by that is it can actually be used for colour balancing. Yeah, it has no variance to any particular colour tone. It's just pure grey. And it's done like that so it doesn't affect the car lacquer paint that you put over the top of it and change the shade of it. It's also good for you YouTubers when you want to do your white balance. If you spray a piece of card with Halford's grey and use that for your white balance, you get perfect white balance. There you are. A little bit of a YouTube tip in there for you. I found the Pound Line stuff to be quite good. My 28mm German army was undercoated using their black, then the base coat with the grey. I've used the grey on plastic buildings with good results. Michael saying I use Action Ones. Dan Random saying 18% grey. Right, I'm assuming, I think Dan's I don't know. I'm assuming 18% grey is some sort of, yeah, even Brant's saying 18% grey. You're going to have to explain that, Dan. Well, I've just bought 30 15mm buildings, so this question is incredibly useful for me. Do you know what, guys? One little throw out just on the channel sort of thing. For a long time, you know these question and answers? I've been thinking about recording them, okay? And then just putting them out as a monthly podcast. Not a weekly thing. I can't put too much work onto another asset, if you know what I mean. But for people who don't catch the live shows, and also to make it a bit more easy to digest the information, I was thinking of editing through it and sort of putting it together. Do you reckon it work? Is it worth doing something like that? Montana are also a great paints to use, and you can buy MDF primers specifically for MDF priming. True. I need to sort of get into the habit of saying such and such is saying. Yeah? That's a good idea, a compilation. Yeah, yeah. 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Halford's Grey. I think we've nailed that spray primer question. Right, I've got quite a few more questions to do. That's for the white balances, a pure mid-grey. It's the correct tone for light meters. It's the average that proper grey cards are made to. So yeah, Halford's grey is apparently 18% grey, which is proper neutral grey. Nice. Thank you, Dan. Lucky. Could do so, no video cutting. The video editing side of doing the podcast would be a little bit more challenging on the basis of I've got to sort of, because they're not going to see the comments as you guys watching live do, we have this sort of conversation where you guys talk on that side and I talk on this side. If it goes to just audio, there won't be that side. Even if you're watching afterwards, you still get the comments through YouTube, so you can keep track of the conversation. So I need to get a little bit more polished in my side to sort of include your comments. So sort of things like saying, Tim saying, could work, great idea, and you could do it only audio, so there's no video cutting needed. And that's a good point, Tim. Do you see what I mean? I need to start speaking more like that, so that when I edit it together, it works. Tom's going, do you have any tips on Tom's a new gamer? Throw your question down into the Google Doc. We'll get to it, buddy. Right. Okay, quick one from Andy. Where do you get your thin sheets of blue foam you used in the Mountain Pass build from? Right, I get those from a company called Panel Systems Limited in the UK. You can also get a foam from a company called ProWarm. If you Panel Systems sell large boxes of it. They don't sell individual sheets, but ProWarm do sell individual sheets of their 10mm foam. If you're looking for it, down below is a link to my Amazon wish list. It's listed at the bottom of my wish list. Please don't buy me any. I've got some. It's just down there, so I've got a link to send you to, Andy. So if you're after my 10mm HD foam, extruded foam, head to my Amazon wish list, head down to the bottom, you'll find a link. Don't buy me anything though. If you want to buy me something, there's paints and glues and stuff further up. Right, let's move on. Leslie's asking, come tell us how the Burma build is going and how the painting of the figures are coming along. I'm not painting at the minute, to be truthful, if I'm perfectly honest. In fact, Mel is going to, since we're talking Burma, Mel will adopt a more casual position. There you are, camera wobble. That'll fix it. Better. Yeah, Mel is what you call it. Mel's finished painting at the minute. I've got some vehicles to do, and I need to get back into those. I've seriously lost my paint. It's not that I've lost my painting mojo. My hands are my muscle memory for the really fine stuff is gone. It's been that long since I've painted models. I keep meaning to start painting with the kids again, just to get that practice. I've just spent that long using bigger brushes and working on terrain that my really fine detailed stuff is struggling. I do need to pick it up. On the Burma terrain, I'm partnering along with loads of things actually. Yeah, I'm still obviously doing the inverse basing, concave basing, and the groundwork and that sort of stuff. But I'm also designing 2x2 modular tiles. Yeah, laser cut ones that I can insert foam into for it. So I've sort of got that on the go as well. So that's going really well. Yeah, and I'm chatting with one of the other businesses based in Spodeworks, which is a laser cutter. Yeah, to see if he can just do me some custom tiles. So we're going to see. If it works really well, I may even sell them. Who knows? Oh. Mel, you might want to look into an old episode of Cup of Jones by Easy Allies. He did a real good recording audience interaction, but he's gone live now on that for whatever reasons. Cup of Jones by Easy Allies. Let me just do a quick Google search so I've got that page saved. Cup of Jones, Easy Allies. Okay. He appears to have a YouTube channel. Give that a quick click and save that for later. Right, thank you for that, buddy. Right. Red green, that sounds delicious. Is there any reason we can't watch your Q&A after the fact if we miss it? It's no chance to catch up by watching the replay. Yeah, you can watch the replay. I keep the replay, sort of on the channel for about until the next show normally, maybe 2 weeks. So if as long as you visit the channel page in the next, within a week of the replay, then you can just jump down. But a lot of it, because of the banter and that sort of stuff, I was thinking a more condensed show just for the terrain questions. Right. So next question from Tiger Tank. Mal, how would I do really fast, rough water through a tunnel? It's for a World War I tunnel I'm making. Some tips would be good. All right then, okay. First off, when you're doing really rough water, one of the first things to realise when you're doing water is that the quicker it moves, the less you can see through it. Okay, because the frother it gets, and the froth refracts the light, reflects it off the water, so you can't see through it. So you can go for a more heavier based gel base rather than worrying about using resin for your water. Okay, you can certainly use resin for the base, but you're going to be building heavy gels on top of that. Now there's a load of different techniques, and I've been playing around with silicon sealant, recently with water effects. The best ones by far, or the most common ones used, are the acrylic texture, the acrylic heavy medium gels. Now you can get these water effect gels, but basically they're just these acrylic gel mediums, yeah, with a bit of colour mixed in, and you can add the colour yourself, whether it's an ink or whether it's paint. But you can get what's called an acrylic texture gel, and you can use that to do your really rough spikes and that sort of stuff. I highly recommend, when you do it, have a photo of really rough water you want to simulate. Yeah, the reason being is that it's gotta look right. Yeah, your eye will, your sort of subconscious brain will pick up when things in nature don't look right. It's a survival mechanism. You know, it goes back to the days when we were wondering whether there was a tiger in the bush. You know what I mean? That sort of situation. So whenever we see things which don't look quite right, we feel uneasy, we're drawn to them. And this is why, you know, you notice things like, you know, where someone's replaced a couple of bricks in a wall and they're slightly a lighter shade. We pick that up quite quickly, even though it's incredibly subtle. It's this sort of biological survival mechanism. And so when you do water, it's very easy just to slap it down. But what you find is, it's not believable because your mind doesn't believe it, okay? And so what you need to do is, if you can get a reference photo and try and match what, you know, your water to what the water's doing in the reference photo, it will come off a lot more realistic. Even if your modeling techniques aren't up to the level of replicating the photo, you'll do better. Let me put it this way. A poor modeler following a photo will produce better results than a good modeler just guessing. Unless they've got a degree in hydrodynamics. Or something like that. Yeah? But you know what I mean? It's about the believable. And with something like water, you need a reference, because a lot of us can look at what's called mountains and look and go, nah, that's not believable. That overhang wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Or it doesn't feel right that it would go that way. And then But when it comes to water, we're not that knowledgeable about it sort of consciously. Yeah, but we can still pick up on it subconsciously. So, you know, get a reference photo, mate. But the heavy gels are definitely the way to go. Right, I hope that helps you, buddy. As always, yeah, links down below. Right, let's move on. 6 of 14, Grimlock. What should I use for making terrain pieces for Shadespire? I'm thinking about expanded foam. I've used polyfiller to cover the foam before, but it's kind of brittle. I'm thinking about Daz Clay now. That should work. Polyfiller shouldn't be brittle. That should be a lot tougher, mate. You're either applying it wrong. Are you watering it down as you apply your polyfiller? Expanding foam's good. I mean, expanding foam with any sort of filler should certainly be durable enough. So I think there's something wrong with your technique or your materials, mate. Go and have a look in the Hills Rocks and Cliffs playlist. You'll find an expanded foam tutorial in there, and I go through my techniques for using literally not polyfiller but close enough and expanding foam. So follow those and have a look at that and see if your techniques are different to mine. Yeah, Celts is saying mix PVA with polyfiller. Yeah, that certainly works. Mel, what do you use for making water? Water! Mainly glass cast resin, to be truthful. Hello, Silver Fox. Mod Podge for ripples in water effects. A lot of people use Mod Podge. I'm not a massive fan of it because Mod Podge is essentially PVA with a texture gel in it. Now, I don't think it dries that clear. It certainly doesn't dry as clear as just the texture gel. On top of that, you can't get the ridges, yeah, and the bulk you get with the texture gel that you get with Mod Podge. Mod Podge falls down on that ground, to be perfectly honest. So I know a lot of people use Mod Podge for water effects. I'm not a massive fan of it. My other issue is because it's a PVA, it's sort of there's more of a risk of it yellowing, yeah, or greying out, you know. And I know this is a problem with a lot of railroad people have this problem when they use PVA. I've seen a few videos where people revisit their layouts, you know, years later, you know, and the PVA has reacted with the moisture in the air. Mark, it shouldn't be too late to send questions, mate. Well, we've got 15 so far, and we've still got an hour to go. Right, so I hope that answers your question, Steve. If not, fire another one in and we'll clarify it, dude. Righty, Tree Hugger. Can you please suggest some natural trees branch names to use as trees? Right. Right. Don't use trees as trees. Okay? I know there's there's a temptation. Okay? Here's the thing. To get a tree branch or a twig, yeah, with enough armatures to look like a real tree, you've actually got to go quite a far way along the actual armature of the branch. Oh, what do they call them? There's a name for it. I can't remember. Never mind. But you've got to go quite a long way. And you get into the fragile side, yeah, of the actual twig. If you come further along the branch, you can get some nice thick trunks, but there'll be no decent armatures, so you'll either have to make them or hide them with just a bulky sort of canopy, crown to the tree. What you want to do is have a look at bushes and shrubs. The main difference between a tree and a shrub, yeah, is that in a tree you have a long stem before you have a split. Okay, in a bush you have a much shorter stem before you have a split, and so a bush is essentially a miniature tree. So you'll get far better armatures for your trees from shrubs and bushes than you will from trees. Now, with regards to which ones to use, I have no idea. My mum's got a good one in her garden that I keep robbing every so often. And she shouts at me. I don't know what it is. I'll find out so I know for future. But yeah, essentially, if you're going to use natural products, go for shrubs over over actual tree branches if you want miniature tree armatures. Also remember they are natural, so you need to let them dry out. You need to sort of give them a whack with something that's antibacterial, etc., or throw them in the microwave once they've dried out to kill the gribblies. They need sealing as well because they do react to the environment. They're not plastic. And the comments are full of "Bring me a shrubbery." RR modelers use a plant called seafoam. Yeah, seafoam's really good, but seafoam is for the canopy. Yeah, you do get twigs with them, but they're too delicate for wargaming. I mean, if you're building a big layout and you can tuck them well back where they're not going to get knocked, but I would never make scatter bases out of I'd use the foam for making the crowns, but not the actual branches or the armatures. Because all it takes is one quick arm sweep and your wood's gone. It's all snapped. You can reinforce them with wires, but it's a pain in the backside, guys. Yeah, so just go for shrubberies and then build the top with a seafoam base, mate. Right. Let's next question. Right, Curin's asking, I play mostly 28mm stuff, but a friend is trying to get me into Flames of War. Is he a friend? Oh, I'm going to get a proper bashing over that. I keep dabbling with flames of war. Well, I dabble with tanks. What would you recommend as terrain pieces that could maybe pull double duty? All I can think of is hills and maybe some medium-sized trees passing for larger or smaller ones depending. Basically, you can get away with anything in nature that's not man-made. Pretty much everything in nature is a variable scale. Trees, hills, fields, rivers, yeah, icebergs. The moment you get to man-made, you get to scale. Now what you can do, okay, is do dual scale terrain. There's when it comes, okay, let me put it this way. It takes a little bit of thinking, okay, but think of a wall. Now, what's the real difference between quite a high 15mm wall and quite a low 28mm wall? Very little, to be truthful. So what you do is you get your 28mm model and you get your 15mm model and you put them next to each other and you have a look at what sort of wall could perhaps be a tall wall for a 15 one, but a half wall for a 28mm one. That allows you to start with building walls. Then you get to buildings. Now the issue with 15 and 28mm is things like doors and windows. So you don't include them in your ruins. You build ruins that are the footprint of the building. Yeah, the corners can come up, but you don't build any of. If you get to a door or a window, you only build two sides of it, so no one can judge the full idea of what size that window was. So when you put a model next to it, it works in both scales, mate. So there's that trick, the dual scale trick. Yeah, and it can work. It only works on so much because obviously, you know, the moment you get anything in there which is to scale, like a full door or a lamppost or anything like that, yeah, it starts falling down. Even to the stage of putting road markings on your roads. Roads can be different widths. Yeah, a single carriageway 28mm road can be a dual carriageway, you know, 2 lanes in a 15mm one. But the moment you put lines on it, you define which scale it belongs to. If you keep the lines off, okay, then you're fine. I use grape stems for trees. I've got some grapes in the fridge. I'll go check that out. Be careful with the wood in the microwave. It will start on fire. Obviously, yeah, microwaves do heat things up and it is flammable. You only need a little blast of probably about 5 seconds to kill any gribblies, guys. Hedges, small for 28mm, tall for 15. Yeah, exactly as Tam says. Right, 54 cent is saying polyfiller is not flexible, so the foam flexes. The polyfiller will crack. Expanding foam doesn't flex once it's cured. It's solid. I mean, obviously, if you're using it on upholstery foam, then you're going to have problems. Yeah, it's going to break and flake off all over. But if you're using it on expanded foam, once it's expanded and cured, it shouldn't move at all. Red Green's thrown a chat topic in there. What's everyone's favourite crisp flavour? I've got to say, yeah, I am a big fan, yeah, of ready salted, but I do like a cheeky prawn cocktail occasionally. They've got to be Walkers, yeah, although Beef Monster Munch, big bonus, Frazzles, obviously, and you got Space Raiders, which are always a cheap, dirty sort of like guilty pleasure of mine. So go on, guys, in the comments while I read the next couple of questions. What are your favourite flavours? Oh, pardon me. Listen, guys, I'm just going to mute the stream and just stop it for just 1 minute. I'm just getting a little bit concerned about Kez and I'd like to give her a quick call. Okay, so just give me... I'm not disappearing. I'm just going to mute the stream and make a quick phone call, guys. There we go. All sorted. She's chatting. Women. Right. Prawn cocktail and salt and vinegar. Nice, Martin. Cheese and onion. I'm not much for the latest Walker's cheese and onion, to be truthful. Oh, Worcestershire sauce is a good one, though. Oh, you cheeky chappy. Smoky bacon. Smoky bacon's a pub crisp. Sour cream and cheddar cheese. Oh, you're a Pringles guy, aren't you? Smoky bacon. Chili heat wave. Oh, you spicy bugger, you. Silver fox. Kerr's Kansas City prime steak flavour. Damn, you're a bit posh, aren't you? I've noticed no one's put in, like, you know, the barrel. What are they? The barrel or burnt or beer crisps or whatever. Sour cream and onion, one of the favourite flavours, but I do like salt and pepper flavour. Salt and pepper? Do you mean salt and vinegar, mate? I've never heard of salt and pepper. Do they do salt and pepper flavoured crisps? Tim's a salt and vinegar guy. All the way. Okay, let's roll. Well, I'll just read the next comment. Let's roll this one with another one, okay? Okay. Crisp butties, yes or no? Come on, in the comments. Crisp butties, yes or no? It's got to be a Marmite thing, isn't it? You're going to either have to love it or hate it. Right, 2 seconds, guys. 1,000 times. Did it? Yes. Yes. Heck. What the heck are crisp butties? No. Yes, with salad cream. Striking hand, man. Oh, brother. Nothing like a salad cream and crisp butty. Oh, striking. You served. No to crisp butties. I prefer brown sauce sarnies. Oh. Jay says 100% crisp butties, yeah. Cheese and onion or cocktail skips for me. Ooh, a skip butty. I like that, matey. Cheese and onion sandwich, ready salted crisp, bang on. No, you see, I like that. A bit of cheese with a bit of crisp on top for that sort of pub ploughman's lunch experience. Bit of pickle. Oh. Crisps, chips in the UK. They're crisps. Chips and potatoes that we fry in wedges, and they're thicker than your fries. Nope, salt and pepper you're normally found on the continent. Think local supermarket sells them here in Norway. Salt and pepper crisps. We're going to have a nose for those. Don't know what butties are. Butties are sandwiches. Chicken crisps and ketchup butties. Nice. This is getting very British. It is. Yeah. We like these little randoms. Yeah, now I've got about another 7 questions, and we have got time, and Kez is going to be at least another half an hour. Yeah, so we can carry on. I've had a quick nose through the next sort of set of questions, etc. And there's nothing in deep, but there'll be nice chatties. But we do like our chips. Chips and crisps are different from French fries. Chips are like thick French fries over here. Crisps are your chips over in the States. Tynels do salt and pepper crisps. Posh crisps, oh, they're too posh for me. Crisp butties are the best. Girlfriend thinks us Brits are weird, but then she is from Czech. Okay, right. Here you go. This one's for the Brits. As a kid, how many of you had sugar butties? Come on, how many of you had sugar butties? Just for the Brits, hands up. Us Aussies are all for the crisp butties. Crisps and chips are snack. French fries is fast food. It depends what you call it. I mean, we don't see, we wouldn't see French fries as fast food. We'll see, well, our version of French fries. I mean, we do have French fries here, to be truthful, but we call them French fries. Also, we have a corn snack, which is a crisp, called French fries. This is getting... Oh, Brits, not me. Banana sandwich with sugar. Oh, banana butties. Oh, yes. Angela's like, yeah, my dad did, not me, though. With tomato sauce. Sugar and tomato sauce. Dripping butties. Oh, Kez still loves a bacon dip butty. You know what I mean? When you get the bacon out of the frying pan and you just get bread, mop up the grease, fold it over, pass it to the wife. She's a happy woman. I love how you've got Brits trying to explain, yeah? It's sliced bread covered in margarine with sugar sprinkled all over it. And then there's other people going, you eat that? That's food in Britain? It's what we give our kids. We don't give our kids that anymore. Although, I must admit, I did give Corbin, I was having, I wanted a crisp butty, because I was just... Crisp butties are one of those things where you want something more than crisp, but not proper food. So you add a slice of bread to the equation, and it just fills you enough. I mean, it's very rare you actually eat the crust on a crisp butty, because all you're really after is the bread-coated crispness with the margarine. But it's slightly filling. And I wanted a crisp butty, but there weren't any, so I went for a banana butty with sugar. Yeah, because you've got to put sugar on a banana butty. Yeah. And Corbin had come down. He's like looking at me, so I made him one, and he thought they were the bee's knees. He was well impressed. Philip saying my dad loves dripping buttons. Bacon butties with brown sauce. Now listen, let's just be honest, yeah. There's no point asking about bacon because, you know, generally it's a universal love unless you're vegan or, you know, you don't for religious practices. I've not met many people who don't like bacon, who don't like it because of the taste. You know, it's either because of religious beliefs or because of, you know, their personal beliefs on food sources and that sort of stuff. I bloody love the stuff. Corbin loves this stuff. We have bacon butties all the time. They all joke that the English make food in hell. To be truthful, it's weird. Because of the environment of England and because we're quite good farmland, with a lot of foods, you get a lot of the cultural foods are spicy, yeah, to cover the taste of rotten food. The spices are there because a lot of the food back in the day used to go off, and it's why we use a lot of salted food, because back in the day for us, yeah, we didn't really have access to many spices, so we salted our food. But it's led to a certain blandness in British cuisine. Yeah. Secondly, the Brits are well known of, yeah, if you're hungry, stick anything on a sandwich and you're good to go, man. I went out with a vegetarian girl back in the day. She was vegetarian except for bacon and McNuggets. I had a mate who had a vegetarian girlfriend. Yeah. And she loved steak. Yeah, absolutely loved steak, but wouldn't eat anything else. Anyone ever had mince between two slices of bread? As in mince, beef mince? No. I've had a beef butty, you know, slices of beef and stuff like that. Right, I think we're buttied out for the minute. Let's do some questions, shall we? They're still coming in. I've got about another 7 to go. Right, I've got Yeeta asking, how would you make a 3D lighting effect? Now this is this is something called OSL lighting, and in the physics cum art world, it's called optics. If you want to go searching for some good tutorials on it, that sort of stuff. So you want to look for object source lighting in the general category of optics. And the easiest way to do a 3D lighting effect is to install an LED and create the light, because that way you don't have to worry about painting where the light would go. If you want to do it by OSL, which is object source lighting, a painting technique, then that's a lot harder. Okay, and I would recommend studying it to get it right, because it's going back a bit to the water thing. It's one of these things that if you do wrong, yeah, then your subconscious will pick it up, and no matter how beautifully well it's done, if the physics of it are wrong, yeah, people won't believe it. It won't feel good to them. We got around the fact that we had no spices by taking over large parts of the world. Number one takeaway meal in the UK today is chicken tikka. Yeah. Exactly. I do love a good chicken tikka. You should try blood sausage. Oh, black pudding. Now, I've got to admit, yeah, if I'm having a survivor's breakfast, black pudding is a must. It's an absolute must. At least a good inch of it. Yeah, although I will say I do prefer my black pudding sort of sliced to about 8 mil. And not precise, but you know what I mean. Centimetres a bit too thick. About 8 mil in slices, really well fried. Oh, perfect for a survivor breakfast. But anyway, to cap off 3D lightning, this audio editing is going to be quite interesting, isn't it? Because I jump because of the comments from thing to thing. It's 100 years the world thinks fries comes from France. Do fries not come from France? Where do are they not French fries? Mag saying I always add a teaspoon of sugar to my Brussels sprouts when cooking. Nice in the sandwich. Kerry likes a sprout butty. What about shadows in OSL? You should include them because they will shift depending on where you stand. Yeah, it's a whole complicated matter. Not just that. What you've got to remember is it single source OSL? Or are you talking about multiple light sources? Secondly, you've got to consider the actual what light is being generated and what will that do to the colours. So, for example, if it's skylight and someone is wearing, wearing a yellow top, then where the light is most prominent, it will be lighter, but it will also have a slight green tinge to it because the blue light will mix with the yellow of the top to create green. And there's all this sort of stuff to go into it. A couple of you guys recommended a good artistic book by a guy who did all the paintings for Dinotopia. And there's a load of sections in light and that, and I've been really soaking it up. And a lot of other... In fact, is it down there? You'll notice I've got my Legion and my Star Wars. Is it? No, it's not there. Where is it then? Probably by the side of my bed. Definitely not there. Oh, not under there either. Bring in the Fred. Oh, I'll tell you what book I have got. Just quickly, on the mention of Bring in the Fred. There we go. Now, if you want to talk about painting shadows, Fred understands OSL. The work in his book. But look at this. Next time he's on a live show, have him over that moody photo. Look at him. Look at that moody. How artistic is that? If you don't know, for you guys who are wondering who Fred is, Fred's in the studio underneath me. Yeah, he's a bit of an old school war gamer, but he's got a long history in military history, but he's a fantastic painter. I'm just trying to find... I mean, there you go. That's Fred's work. Yeah. Beautiful work. But anyway, I digressed, didn't I? Right. Oh, I better shut that before the kids go flying through. But I do need that. Fingers crossed, this will become very relevant, yeah, to what you call it, the channel in the coming months. Look at that lava world, that industrial facility on a space lava planet. Sound familiar? What's it called? Mustafa. That's a bit like my lava world. Scar, isn't it? Do you have a pipe to go with those slippers, Mel? No, but I have been debating it, to be truthful. I don't like cigarettes, I'm going off them, and I think I'm reaching a point for a pipe. Right, one very quick thing I should do is I better check the PayPals. We've had nothing via watch at the normal sort of channels. I haven't even pushed for them, to be truthful. I've just been having a blast answering questions. So I do need to check so no one's missing out. If you do like the show and all that sort of stuff, links down below to PayPal. You can send me a quick tip to say thank you. Yeah. By the looks of it, no one, so we're good. I'm not missing anyone. A pipe and a flat cap. No, I'm not a flat cap sort of guy. Vader's Palace. Legion Terrain or Imperial Assault? Well, you know, I'm chatting with Fantasy Flight now, so I'm actually talking with them. Oh, you can't build Star Wars terrain without a fistful of Universal Greeblies. Would need to swap Oz out for a Whippet, lad. Right, but anyway, just to close off on the 3D lighting effect. If you're going to do it, you need to put some heavy work into looking into optics and OSL. Because if you don't do OSL, if you don't do it right, it seriously won't look right, no matter how good of a painter is. If you don't get the physics of it, your brain, your subconscious brain is just going to throw it out. And Yeats... Odin, thank you, buddy. Odin's paid his dues. Yeet the Returnee just said, did you look at the Australian Tim Tam biscuits? I can remember having a quick look, but I didn't get any or anything like that. Right. 13 of 19. Aaron, you mentioned last week you'll be doing a vid on crackling effect. Any tips on doing it on a modular game board? You can't have crackling crossing over modularly. It's incredibly hard to tie that in. Incredibly. So don't even try. Avoid tying it in. Or if you've got to do it in such a way that the crackling effect looks to be narrowing, yeah, or becoming patchy as it gets to the board edges. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about exactly meeting lines and stuff like that. It can be quite challenging. Yeah. Other than that, you know, standard my standard effect for getting crackling. Yeah, bit of water, bit of filler, mix them together, pour them on into where you want to get crackle. Heat gun, dry the top of it, yeah, as it should, and then let it just cure and crack. But you can get crackling paste and all that sort of stuff. Hey, the DMG, Tim Tams. He's saying yum, so I'm assuming they're quite a nice biscuit then. Tim Tams, penguins. Oh yeah, we have penguins. But yeah, it doesn't work with pick up a Tim Tam, does it? Pick up a penguin is far more catchy. Okay, what's the next question? Question 14. Jason's asking, I'm looking to build a large under-mountain city that comes apart in layers to show the players where they are. I was wondering if you had any ideas on how to make it work. Now this is probably one better suited to the DMG than me, to be perfectly honest, because it sounds like you're looking at more that exploration sort of side of it to make it work. In wargaming, we pretty much set our terrain out. You know, you get to see what you're dealing with. You know, in Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, it's revealed to you as you explore. Yeah, it's DMG actual penguin. That threw me off me train of thought, mate. Right, I was wondering if you had any ideas on how to make it work. You see, On the terrain side, I would do, if you want to do the reveal, I wouldn't build the underground city inside an actual mountain on a terrain board. I would have it as separate, like individual boards that you could reveal and move people around. There's that idea of doing like that 3D stack effect, but I always find that it never really works. You know, when you look at it, you know what they're going for, but it doesn't work that way for some reason. I think it's that subconscious thing. Your subconscious doesn't buy into it. I mean, we can buy into exploring what we can see here, but stepping out and seeing it in layout, I just think our mind's like, nah, not buying that. You know what I mean? So, yeah. My personal recommendation, go check out what the guys like, you know, DMG and Black Magic Craft. I mean, they're better at this sort of unveiling and, you know, than I am. I can build them, but that mechanic isn't something. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I've only ever played one game of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, no, technically I've played two. I played one where I set up a character, then the campaign never started. So I sat around a coffee table with like 3 other guys, set up a character, and then nothing happened. And then my other group experience of playing Dungeons and Dragons was with a mate, and he was the DM, and I was the group. Yeah, and we did the first mission in the book, and I got taken down by a load of rats. DMG saying anything 3D gets in the way. Yeah, I get that feeling that it's awkward. Do you know what I mean? Right. So sorry, Jason. Sorry I can't help you any more about that one. But I think we're in a situation where what you're trying to achieve is a struggle for everyone who's trying to achieve it. There's just other people who've spent a lot more time trying to achieve it than I have, mate. So I'd reach out to them. I must run a game for you, Mel. I don't know if I could play Dungeons and Dragons. And my brain sees it as a logic puzzle rather than a role play. I don't know if that's something that's common in, because I've got very little experience. Yeah. In fact, I've spent more time DMing, a role play game than I've played a role play game. I've DM'd 3 sessions of Warhammer Fantasy role play when I was 15. Yeah. But I don't know if that's a common thing in role-play games where you get people who struggle with the actual idea of falling into the role. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for example, if I was a thick barbarian, a stupid barbarian, I don't know if I could play that character. 7D system. What? I understand what I don't. Right, next questions. Remember, if you've got questions, get them in the description down below. You'll find the link to the Google Doc. Post them in there, and I'll get to them. Right, we've got about another 4 to go, so we can definitely squeeze in maybe 1 or 2 questions. Yeah? Mel, everyone can play Warhammer. You could do something like the Infinite Mirror as terrain. Planning on something like that. Yeah? Leave it with me. I think you play a barbarian pretty well, Mel. Nice one, James. A good DM and the right players can make a DM campaign really magical. I sure miss my buddy Ray. He played a great gnome. That's my game, Mel. Right, okay, 7DS. You're gonna 7DS, right? You're gonna have to take me through it, mate. You're gonna have to play me a game, and I'll come and watch it. I'll join one of your live shows. Okay, we'll have a taster session. I'm not committing to a whole series because I have no idea. Right, Tiger Tank's come back with his water effects question. He's missed it because his Wi-Fi stopped. I'm not repeating it because it was a long one. Just skip back. DVR, is enabled for this playback, so you can just scroll back. Or if you give it sort of 30 minutes after the show, there'll be the full video listed at the top of my channel in my uploads. Just watch it then and you can nail it then, mate. Right, Randy. I was working on a Stargate and I hollowed out the centre of the base and used it vertically instead of horizontally. I wanted water effects inside the ring and I used Mod Podge with the paint. To say I'm not happy with the results is an understatement. Is there an easy way to remove it without messing up the ring or the paint job? There is. Yeah, what you can do, you might have to do a little bit of touching up, but Mod Podge is PVA, so it's water activated. What you can do is you can round the edge, okay, of where it's stuck to your Stargate, just brush that with water. Just leave not a heavy coat, but leave it wet. Yeah. If it starts to dry, re-wet it. Once it starts reactivating, you can actually scrape. Yeah, and it'll go back to PVA. You can just add a little bit more water, dilute it down, soak it up with a bit of a tissue, mate. The centerpiece, if that's still cured, just grab that and peel that off, unless that's going to damage it. But basically, if it's Mod Podge, water is your solvent. Apply it, cold water, not warm water. Warm water causes PVA to rubberize, and then you're knackered, mate. Yeah, so cold water, put it on, brush it, yeah, so it mixes with the PVA and you start to agitate it, and as you do, you'll see it go with the normal PVA white colour, and you can just soak it up that way, mate. Mel will never get out of the tavern. What do you mean? I don't think I can play a stupid character. Humble brag. No, but you know what I mean? I don't think I could play someone. I don't think I could play someone, yeah, who would clearly not see something that's obvious. Does that make sense? I don't do series, just crazy one-offs. Alright then, DMG. I'm in. Yeah, we'll have to sort schedules and that sort of stuff, because you being down there, down under the ground, on the other side of the planet. But I'm in. Email me, mate, and I'll do a one-off and we'll give it a go. Maybe you can show, I mean, the irony is, get this. Where is it? No, that's the Gasland's book. See? Right, I have got my old book. There it is. There it is. I'm kitted out for it, as long as we play 3rd edition. These have been knocking around. I picked them up for £1 each from a car boot sale, and they've been knocking around for ages. It was when I was thinking about getting into D&D. I love this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? That's why I love fancy roleplay. But it's world building. I mean, I know in D&D you're adventure building, but I've always been interested in the world side of it. You know what I mean? I made Mel disappear. You did, DMG? Right. So yeah, with regards to Randy and his PVA, his Mod Podge question, water, mate. Water is your solvent. Right, I've got another 5 questions. Right, 15 minutes. I'm going to let one more question come in. So when it goes up to 22 questions for the show, I'm going to lock that off. So we've got room for one more question. Guys, rush to it, because I'm switching it off after that question's in. I know what you mean, Mel. I was just giving you a hard time playing. Yeah, it's hard, especially when you figured something out that no one else in the group has. I hadn't even thought about that. So if my character hasn't figured it out, but I have, I'm not allowed to point it out to the rest of the group. Oh, that'd be torturous. That is old D&D Mel. Well, I'm old Mel. They are 2nd edition books. Are they 2nd edition? Are they? I heard that was the best edition. Now I've just kicked something off. Mel, you would make a bad dungeoneer. He'll be too busy in the village scrap pile looking for bits for his next terrain project than exploring a dungeon. Right, okay. No one's got a question in, so I'm locking it off anyway. Too late, you snooze. Right. Mark. Mark's asking, I'll be building a few desert dioramas using Halloween skeleton figures that people use for decor. Okay. They're about 3 or 4 inches tall. My question is, how would you go about building the basic shape of the terrain before adding the sand? Also, some skeletons will be coming out. Hello? Hey, dude. Hello. Oh, right. Mum's going to be back in like 5 minutes. You were supposed to be in bed 45 minutes ago. Oh yeah, look, don't be blaming it on each other. If Mum catches you up, you two are dead. And so am I. Mush, mush, Vamio. She's literally coming home right now. Grab your biscuits. Do one. They like living dangerously. I see Bill saying 2nd edition was the best. Right, anyway, let's get back to this question. Also, the skeletons will be coming out of the sand. What's the best material for creating 3 dioramas, 3 set pieces about 1 foot by 1 foot roughly? Background will be 1 foot by 2 foot long, followed by the what's best to use for the bases? I think what you're looking at is essentially expanded foam hills, mate. I would use either MDF or EPVC for the bases. Alright, dude, come here. Have we got any milk left?
Yeah, I've still got a bottle quite a bit.
Alright. Well, stop. Your pockets are empty because I don't want patting you down now, dude, alright?
Yeah, okay.
There's no packets of biscuits in there?
No, there's nothing.
Alright. Good night, dude. Love you. Who spilled coffee on the floor?
I don't know.
Oh, it's sorted. Oz has just got it. Nice. It is the Sunday night, folks. This is what happens. Come on, missus.
Walking slides so that I don't spill it.
Right. Love you.
Love you.
Right. Good
Feeling
night.
down, hug a potato.
Good night, darling. I have no idea, Ross. Did they not give you a biscuit, mate? What a shame. Yeah, with regards to embedding the skeletons, I think what you're going to have to do is I would use expanded foam. I would dig out the hole where the skeletons are going to go. I'd throw in, DAS modelling putty. Yeah, and embed the skeletons in there. Then once that's cured, I'd level it all off with filler, because you could put the filler in rather watered down, and then as it's drying, you can clean up the edges and that sort of stuff. Then go in with your PVA and sand and finish all that sort of stuff there. No, Jace, no bottles of vodka in there. Right, question 19 of 21. Yeet's asking, what about an electricity effect? Blue paint, mate. Lots of blue paint and lots of very fine lights. Right, next question. Matt G. Me and my son are getting into 40k. We have 0 scenery so far. Any tips on what to make first? I think the first thing that you need to do is make some ruins. Some simple 1 inch thick. Buy some 1 inch insulation foam. Yeah, and cut some basic wall sections. That's going to give you cover. It'll be a good foundation for your first buildings. You can always add things to them later and sort of dress them up. But from what I know from 40k rules, you'll get more benefit from doing those sort of buildings and applying cover and that sort of stuff than you will from making hills. Remember, you can also grab Coke cans and all sorts of things and do industrial stuff and that sort of stuff. But my first builds would be simple cover, because that will allow you to introduce the idea of, units in cover, units who've got line of sight blocking terrain and stuff like that, which is the start of the strategy of the game. In Oz, watching Oz. So yeah, Matt, that's what I'd recommend. Go for ruins first. You can make some quite nice ruins out of 1 inch foam. You can be quite creative. Right, last question on my sheet. Games Dude. I'm wanting to make a crater, 2 to 3. I'm wondering what material to use. Drifting towards MDF, but I'm worried about health and safety because I'm a wuss. Alternatives, health and safety tips are dead easy, mate. Go and have a look at what you call it. Go and have a look at my craters video in the Let's Make playlist. There's a couple of techniques in there that you can follow, and they all produce great craters. The best one, if you're worried about health and safety, is just round bases with DAS modelling putty on them, and that works really well, really well. Right, so that is all my questions from the question form. I'm doing good. We're on what?
2 bubbles stat.
Yeah, you need to plait your hair, don't you? Calm, it's because you've shoved it full of makeup.
I've took half of the makeup out and stole it.
Right, bobble 1. Bobble 2.
Yep.
Bobble off. Love you, darling.
Love you.
Right, go on, disappear, Doc.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay, no one will know. No one at all. I'm not even asking what that is about DMG. I can't go back to a woman's prison. Not again. Were you a correction officer? What are they up to now? 5.5 edition? That's ridiculous. Oh, right. Okay, so people are talking about Dungeons and Dragons editions. Yeah. Let's wrap this up with a little chat. DMG, I am up for a bit of Dungeons and Dragons. And if it's a one-off session, I'm assuming it'll be a YouTube session sort of thing. Definitely up for that. I think that'd be a bit of a giggle, to be perfectly honest. No one. We will not tell. Pardon me. Bless this cold. Right. Do you know what, guys? I think I am going to call it. I think I reached this point where once I stop accepting questions, my bladder just gives up. And I'm going to start dancing soon. So, it's been a really good show. Yeah? Thanks for joining on. Hope you found all the information useful. I've had a couple of recommendations. Going to check out that Cuppa Jones and see if I can see what that's about and what I can pick up from that and the audio thing. DMG, definitely for the, for the adventure. I'm up for that. We can do sci-fi, modern fantasy, whatever you like. If I'm doing Dungeons and Dragons, it's got to be fantasy, hasn't it? I need to be a reasonably intelligent barbarian with a very short loincloth. And on that image, I'm going to love you and leave you, folks. Listen, yeah, spray can video out on Tuesday. In the meantime, I'll catch you soon, guys. All the best. Ta-da.